Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. It's one of the most polarizing things in our culture besides politics and religion are sports. Right? Sports rivalries are the thing that always make us the best of friends on a weekend or at a basketball game on a weeknight, separates us into two camps. And I tell you that because it's pretty prevalent in my life. I am a University of Michigan fan, and my wife and her whole family are Ohio State fans. And according to ESPN, this is one of the greatest rivalries ever. And it has always been a point of contention in our relationship and our family relationship. And so every year at Christmas, we do this white elephant gift exchange, and I thought I outsmarted the system. See, I went out and I bought a Michigan scarf, a Michigan hat, and some gloves and put them in a box thinking there's no way anybody else will want this and I will get my way. I essentially bought myself a Christmas gift. And as we're exchanging gifts and, I really want that one, so I steal it. And somebody opens it and they're like, oh, everybody but me hates Michigan. So I'm thinking there's no way somebody opened that. I'm certainly going to be able to steal it. And my father-in-law gets up and he steals that. And I'm thinking, no, this is not how it's supposed to go. And he said, you know what? I've got a friend that, buddy from work that we always kind of exchange banter around Michigan, Ohio State. And I think he would think it's kind of fun that I gave him some Michigan stuff. And I thought, no, don't you understand? This is my story. How I would write it is I steal that and it's mine. But the way that he's behaving in this situation, albeit funny, is much more the way that the Christmas story is written. It goes beyond our preferences and beyond the polarizing nature of things. See, in our world, in our culture, we tend to separate people into camps. The prevailing narrative is one that says us versus them. And the problem with that is that the us only sees the narrative as their way and the them the opposite. But when you walk into the them, it switches. We only see things the way that we want to see them. And it takes somebody saying, hold on a second, what if we looked at it differently? What if I saw beyond my us and them? And it's prevalent in our culture today. I think it's really horrible in our culture today, but it also is the way it was when Jesus was born. Caesar ruled, and Caesar was thought to be Lord, and Jesus came as Lord. Herod was the king of the Jews, and he was so concerned about Jesus taking over control as the king of the Jews. And so there was always this tension between us and them. But if you read the story, Jesus is a counter narrative. It tells a different story than the one that you and I would write. See, I want to tell you two sides. There's an insider portion of the story and there's an outsider portion of the story. There's a story of a guy named Simeon in Luke chapter 2, around verse 30. It talks about Simeon, who's definitely an insider. He is considered a devout follower. And Simeon says, I can't believe it. It's finally come. It's happened. The Messiah is here. But Simeon, with great excitement, says, the Messiah is here for all people. See, he's an insider that understands that it's bigger than just us versus them, that it's all people. But then there's also a story of outsiders in the Christmas story. There's Mary and Joseph are definitely in that camp of like, I'm a little confused. But there's also the shepherds. They're notoriously the outsiders. They are alone, they're in fields, and all they do is talk to sheep. They wouldn't be invited to your family Christmas party. And yet an angel shows up to the shepherds in Luke chapter 2, verse 10. And he says, do not fear, because I have brought great news that will bring great joy to all people. Not just insiders, not just outsiders. And if those outsiders, the shepherds, were to tell this story and write this story, it would say, he is not for you, he is for me. And if Simeon, the insiders, were to write this story, they would say, he is not for you, he is for me. And the best part about the Christmas story is that it's for all people. And so the point of Christmas, what I hope that you would engage this year in your faith journey, wherever you are, if you're an insider or an outsider, or admittedly, even some of us who have been on the inside and have had great excitement for Christmas for so long and are going through difficult times might feel alone. If that's you, put yourself into the story and see which camp you fall into, and be reminded that Jesus came to tell a different story, a counter narrative for all people. If you're on the inside, I would encourage you this Christmas to look beyond your story because it fits for you. And it may be exciting just like it was for Simeon. Do something specific for somebody who doesn't fit in that camp because the story is for all people, insiders and outsiders. But if you're feeling like an outsider or you're going through a tough time where you feel not as excited and you have some fear around this time of year and Christmas, know that Jesus came for you too. I want to leave you with one of my favorite lines from a Christmas song. It's from O Holy Night, and it says, "The soul felt its worth. Till he appeared, Jesus appeared, and the soul felt its worth." The one thing that ties us together, insiders and outsiders, is the fact that God cared enough for you and I. He cared enough for our souls that he came here for all people, for all of us. And so this year at Christmas, be encouraged, no matter where you fit, that Jesus, the narrative, is counter, and it's bigger than anything that we could have written and planned for ourselves. Your soul has value and meaning.